Hello, everyone, and welcome to our today's webinar. We are very happy to welcome you all here. My name is Alina, and today we have another interesting webinar that will help you guys to browse and to research your application process for studies in the US much easier. But first of all, I would just like once again to introduce you our Education USA virtual page. You can go on our website and you can find useful information that will help you to navigate within your path to your studies in the US. You can get there nice articles with information about the application process, about some steps that you might consider during your application. As well, you can find on our website an announcement about GSAP, and we are going to post here a QR code that will help you to go straight to that application page. So you should know that GSAP is a design to the Thank you guys for waiting. Some technical things. Okay, so for all those who are still with us, just wanted to promote once again the GSAP program. So this is a program that is designed specifically to students who want to apply for their graduate degree. So if you're now in a process of researching to apply for PhD or for master degree, you should know that this program is for you. This is totally free, and the program is run by my colleague Aynash Kudisheva from Kazakhstan. And in case if you'll have some question about the application, you should email her. That will be in the application. As well, we have a Zoom session on 23rd of April, and that is going to be a Zoom where you can address your question in case we have them about the application. Please go on and scan the QR code, and please go on with the application. We encourage as many students as possible to apply for it. Okay, so as I said, today we're going to talk about another interesting topic that is very important for students who would want to go to study in the United States. And we have as an invitee, as the speaker for our today's session, Zion Lashua, and he's representing the University of the Incarnate Word. Thank you, Zion, very much for agreeing to participate in our today's webinar. We are very eager and very excited to hear more information and more terms and more explanation on what the students should expect when they would join the campus, specifically when getting in the U.S.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to speak with all of you, with you and all of the students who have connected here and answer any questions, especially at the end. And so, yeah, today we're really going to be talking about campus life and culture, how to foster a vibrant campus environment at UN's institutions. So that's what we'll be talking into. Are we good to jump right in?
Sure. Yes.
Perfect. Like Alina said, thank you so much for having me. My name is Zion Lashua, and I'm an international student recruiter and communications coordinator at the University of the Incarnate Word in San Antonio, Texas. I know you've been having some of my colleagues from different Texas institutions present over the course of the month of April. And it's been great to see the different aspects of Texas, I'm sure. And so we'll be starting to talk a little bit about campus environments in general. So this is something I think to heavily consider when looking at studying in the United States, because the United States does offer excellent academic education. So when you're attending an institution, you will have access to incredible faculty and incredible coursework and research opportunities and internships. So there's all the great sides of that too. But it's really important, I think, and an essential part of the experience is to consider the campus environment. What does that look like for the institution that you're deciding to attend? Because each institution is going to be different. It's going to have a different campus environment. It's going to have a different vibe on campus. It's going to feel distinct from each other. And so that's kind of the general thing that I have at the start here is really to consider that, because it's different around the world. But in the United States, like in other parts of the world, it might be kind of traditional to, if you're attending a university or secondary education, to basically just show up, attend your classes, and leave. And in the US, it's quite different. The campus environment is an essential part of the experience. It's not only a social aspect of it, it's not only networking and making a connection aspect of it, but it is a very important way to, like I said, make those networking, make those connections, which you can then expand upon once you've graduated, to spin that into career opportunities and different connections that you've made to find success post graduation. But it is just an intrinsic connected part of the academic experience. So you'll be studying with friends at the library. You'll be attending athletic events and cultural events. And so it's a great way to kind of feel fully invested and take full advantage of your time in the United States, because it is quite an experience, but it is also quite an arduous experience, a difficult experience to apply and attend. It is very impressive for students who come from all over the world to study in the US. And so it's really important, I think, to take advantage of every aspect of your time while you are here. And speaking of, like, that's something to consider. Like I mentioned, each institution is going to be different. One thing to consider, I think, when looking for an institution in general, and this can really impact the campus environment, there's a few different things to consider. One thing would be the location. So this is both the location, like what part of the US is it in, like what state is it in, as well as considering, is it a rural institution or a more urban institution? So is it located in the middle of a city, or is the campus itself kind of the city? There are institutions like that all across Texas. So there's different kinds of institutions that really can kind of give you a really different experience. In the more kind of urban environment, a lot of times the schools are kind of integrated into the city, And so your campus environment is a bit connected to your city environment, which can be really great if that's what you're looking for, if you want to kind of feel like you're in a big bustling city and have that connection to kind of the history of the city. But sometimes students really want to feel disconnected. They want to feel like they're on a campus and not really feel like they're a part of the city itself, but really a part of the campus environment. Um, and most institutions kind of have that feel when you walk on campus. You can tell that you've kind of exited the city and entered into the college campus, whichever campus that might be. Another thing to look for is size. So institutions in the U.S. vary wildly in terms of size. There are institutions that only have a few, like 1,000 or so students, like under 1,000 students potentially, and then there are institutions that have upwards of 40,000 students, and that will also kind of impact the campus environment. Smaller institutions, you might have feel a bit more of a sense of community. You might know more people. You might like walk around campus and see people that you know most of the time. Large institutions, there's going to be far more events and resources and things available, but it can feel a bit sometimes that you can get lost in the crowd. So I think there's like there's upsides and downsides to each different kind of institution, which will impact the campus environment. But that's just something to consider for the institution that you're deciding on. It's really what you're looking for. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just what are you hoping to get out of your college experience in the United States. Other things to look for when you're considering institutions would be the diversity of the campus, as well as the history of the campus, as well as I mentioned this bit earlier, the community. What does the community around campus feel like? What does the community on campus feel like? Does it feel like a supportive community? Because that's incredibly important, because the academic side of your college experience is going to be difficult. There's a lot of coursework and research, and so it can be great to know that the environment on campus is very supportive. And then traditions. I think that's a great one to look for campus environment. I think every institution across the United States will have different traditions associated with it. Some institutions might have all of their freshman students jump in a fountain on campus at the beginning of coursework or when they finish. A lot of places, including UIW, where I am based, have a place on campus that you cannot walk. If you want to graduate in 4 years, we have a clock tower on campus. And if you walk under the clock tower, superstition says that you won't graduate in 4 years. So there's always things like that kind of add to the unique aspect of a campus. That's something to consider when you're looking for a campus and looking for an environment as well. So I think that I will jump to the next slide here, and that will speak a little bit about the UIW, University of the Incarnate Word, more specifically. I'll breeze through it just because I know we're talking generally about campus environments, but let's just jump to the next slide here. So talking a little bit about where I'm based, UIW, so I spoke a little bit about the different sizes of campuses. We have about 7,000 students, which puts us on the smaller side. You have a smaller class sizes, which can kind of lead to a more community feel. You do tend to know your classmates a bit more intimately, and the faculty tend to know who you are more specifically. At larger institutions, it can feel like there can be hundreds of students in a class. At UAW, you most of the time have 13. The average class size of 16 is what we're looking for, with a 13-to-1 student faculty ratio. We're in San Antonio, Texas, which is an incredibly diverse culture. We have aspects of different culture from, we have a lot of German immigrants who came in and founded different aspects of the city. We have people from all over Latin and South America, Latin America specifically. We have over 100 different programs. We are an NCAA Division I athletics school, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And as well as an incredibly diverse campus with 70 different countries represented. We feel that diversity is our strength. It's a part of our mission. Different schools will have different aspects of diversity represented on campus, but we really value diversity. We really value students from around the world. We think that it improves not only the lives of you as you attend our great university, but it improves the lives of every student who attends, as to have students from around the world and sharing different perspectives. We were founded in 1881 by the Sisters of Charity of the Incarnate Word. I like to speak a little bit about the history, where we were founded by 3 French nuns who traveled from France to San Antonio to originally treat a cholera outbreak, and then founded a hospital, which eventually became a school, and that's us today. So I like to even say our origins are international. And we do offer automatic merit consideration for scholarships, which can help students kind of fund their university experience. So let's jump back to the campus environment. Let's speak a bit more about like the campus. Like I mentioned, we're in San Antonio. This is something to consider when you're looking at a school, is what city that they're in. We are located in San Antonio in the the neighborhood of Alamo Heights, which is a historic, safe, and flourishing neighborhood. It's really important to consider not only where in the U.S. the institution might be, but where in the specific city. That can aspect your campus environment as well. And we have a beautiful campus. You can see our little clock tower that I was mentioning. That's something to consider too, is like, what does the campus look like? Because it might seem like a silly thing to think about when you're looking at an institution, but being able to kind of feel inspired and feel motivated by walking around campus and seeing some green spaces is really important for mental health, especially. So it can be really important to kind of consider that when you're looking at different kind of campuses. So student clubs and orgs is an incredibly important aspect of a campus environment. I would say it's like the lifeblood of a campus environment, because it's ways for you as a student to engage and connect with other students as well as faculty. And so there's different kinds of student organizations. So first one's here, professional based. So this kind of ties in with the academic side of a campus environment. There are clubs on UIW's campus and many campuses around the United States that focus on business or chemistry or medicine, or specific research-based organizations or outreach. There are student government positions which you can run for and make real changes on campus based on what you might want to see, what your vision of campus would be. Some international students feel like they shouldn't run for student government because they feel like they're only there for a short time if they're an exchange student, or they feel like they don't feel like they represent the campus. But it's incredibly important to have students who are international students on campus government, because it can really kind of, like I said, the different perspectives are really our strength at UIW. And I know for sure that all of my colleagues at different Texas institutions would agree with that statement. Speaking of international students and international culture, there are tons of cultural-based institutions as well that you can find different colleges and institutions across the United States. I can speak a bit about our clubs. We have an Asian Culture Club, an African Student Society, Atlas, and international student organizations. So there's tons of different ways for students to not only engage with other students who share the same culture, but learn about different cultures as well, which is incredibly important. Faith-based, so we are a Catholic institution. With that being said, you do not need to be Catholic to attend. Only about 30% or so of our students are practicing Catholics. I like to say that kind of the faith aspect of UIW specifically is there if you are interested in it, but it is not required in any way, really. That's something to consider. That's something for you looking for, because that can impact a campus environment for sure. Having a faith-based institution or a faith-based organizations on campus. I will say that this is because we are a private institution. Public institutions are not religiously affiliated in the United States, and so that's something to consider too. Is different kinds of institutions. There are public and private. Private institutions like us are often smaller, but they can kind of have that more intimate campus environment. And public institutions can vary wildly, but are often larger than private institutions. And that can, like I said, kind of have different amounts of resources allocated for each student. So it really can kind of depend. But the cost can vary depending on, often private institutions are a little more expensive, but we try to help out with the scholarships, like I mentioned earlier. So yeah, there are faith-based institutions on private university campuses, such as campus ministry, there are Muslim student organizations. So there's tons of different ways to kind of engage in faith if that's something you're looking for. And then of course there's institutions, there's organizations you can join for fun, Broadway Bird, chess, esports, ways to make connections. There are tons of different ways to join a club. And then what's a great aspect of UIW and many campuses across the US as well is if you're looking for an organization that your institution does not have, it's very easy to create one. So if you want to create a club based on something that you're passionate about, that's something amazing, because you will be adding to the campus environment, you'll be adding to the campus culture, and it's incredibly important for student orgs and clubs to feel supported from the administration, because they can know that they are valued and they're bringing something unique to the campus environment. So I spoke a little bit about it earlier. I think athletics can be an incredibly vitalizing aspect of a campus environment. But it is important to note that athletics will look different depending on what institution you're looking at. So I mentioned we are NCAA Division I. So the NCAA is the standard college athletics across the United States. And there are different divisions. So Division I is the highest level. It really means for student athletes that they are dedicating a large portion of their time to their athletics while trying to also balance their academic side. There's Division II and III as well in the same NCAA system, which is very similar, still incredibly competitive. The only difference is the amount of time that is expected of student athletes. So it's a little bit different, and kind of slightly different tiers of athletics. That being said, any school that has kind of Division I, Division II, or Division III athletics, there will be it will influence the campus environment. There will be athletic events on campus. You will be able to kind of represent your school spirit. It's really schools in the United States have a mascot that they can kind of rally behind and cheer for when they're at a game. Our mascot here, you can see him running ahead of the crowd here, is Red the Cardinal. We are the Cardinals because they're basically based on the bird, the cardinal, that's native here to Texas. So the athletics is a great way to, if you want to get involved in athletics, it's a great way to kind of influence the campus environment and take advantage of that connections. But it's also, like I was mentioning, a great way to go out and support your team, make those connections. It's also an incredibly, I think, essential component of attending university in Texas or in the US in general, is to head to an American football game. That's the kind of biggest sport here in the United States. And it's a great way to support your team. But there's also other sort of campus traditions associated with it. Many other institutions also have tailgating, which is essentially you kind of show up to the game way before it begins. It's based on the idea of people who would kind of park their cars, open the back of their trunks, and put out a grill and grill food, cook burgers, hang out, and just enjoy each other's company and getting hyped for the game as it comes later in the day. So the homecoming game is something that happens in the fall. And that's a great kind of aspect of school spirit. That photo was taken at our homecoming game in a previous year. It's often played, you play against a rival school, and so there's great campus environment. You can feel the energy on campus. And so that's a great way to kind of consider what you're looking for, because there will be different schools with different levels of engagement with athletics. So that's something you're looking for. That's something to consider too, is what kind of sports do they have? Will you want to attend sporting events? Will you want to play for a sports team? So that's something to consider too when you're looking at the environment on campus. We at UAW has 23 different NCAA Division I teams. So there are tons of different sports to attend, as well as potentially play for in our club sports. So club sports is very similar in that it is still competitive. You still play against other schools. You still travel. That's a big thing too. But it is a little more accessible for students who want to kind of have a much more balanced academic experience. So, like I said, it's still competitive. You still travel. And there's a diverse amount of options. And club sports, kind of similar to our campus organizations, are really student driven. So if there's a sport, there's something that you're passionate about that you want to play, and you think you can kind of get a team together, you can kind of speak with our club sports advisor and create that team. So it's really kind of based on the students. And so that's something that I think is to consider too. And this is true across many campuses around the US as well. Club sports are a great way for students to be able to play and engage with the competition of their chosen sport without having to commit to a full kind of time student athlete position. And then intramural sports are similar to club sports in that but they're even kind of more casual, often are just for an afternoon. And these kind of designations are true across many institutions around the United States. They're often just for fun, a large variety of different sports, something that you might find in different aspects of the campus. So there's ways to kind of involve in traditional sports, but also things like dodge, archery, or spike ball. So this is just something else to consider when you're looking at the campus environment. Greek life is another thing to consider. This is a different aspect of an institution. It'll vary wildly. They're essentially just gender segmented social clubs. So they often kind of can engage with housing too. That's something to consider too. So they often emphasize service and collaboration, and they're a single branch of national organizations. At UAW, we have 6 fraternities and sororities, and that's often a very heavily associated with the United States experience for college in the United States. But that's really kind of up to what you're looking for. So campus events, I think, is a huge aspect of a campus environment. Cultural events are really a great way to see your culture represented on campus or to experience new cultures. There are campus events all throughout. I can speak to UAW's campus events. We know we have Holy Independencia, Hangul Day as an example. But there are other campus events which will be kind of more localized to where your institution and where you might be. I know that we have a lot of kind of US and Texas themed events. Next week is a Fiesta, which is a San Antonio specific event, which is a great way to celebrate kind of Latin American culture. as well as Texas culture. Last year, we had a mechanical bull on campus, and I can tell you it's much harder than it looks. But also, there's a lot of events on campuses for professional development, so like workshops and talks, visiting lectures, skill workshops, and professional events. So career and internship fairs, and also looking at immigration future. This is something that is put on, at least in UIW, by our International Student Support Services, which is an also incredibly important aspect of a campus to consider. Our student support services host different workshops, and specifically they have immigration lawyers come in a couple of times a semester to speak with international students who might be wanting to consider what are their options post-graduation for wanting to stay in the United States. So these are a ton of different things to consider when looking at a campus. What kind of events do they have, and how is that culture represented on campus? So I think next here I have some photos, different events that we've had on campuses. Light the Way is one of our Christmas celebrations, our holiday celebrations. But we do have different kind of events from around the year. That's the mechanical bull I was mentioning earlier. That's a very Texas themed event that is part of the Fiesta event that I was saying. So just some examples. Other campus resource to consider when you're looking at a campus, a wellness center, like a gymnasium to kind of focus on physical health as well as mental health services. On-campus dining, and this kind of ties into dormitories. So on-campus living versus off-campus living. That's something to really consider when looking at an institution. Some institutions might have different options for you to live in. So often in the United States, you live in with a roommate. So you might have two of you sharing a room as well as a kind of common area. And then you might have another kind of pair as well as part of that. But the housing environments on different campuses vary wildly. There are private dorms, there are shared dorms, there are dorms with a shared bathroom on a floor, there are dorms with a private bathroom. So it's really kind of what you're looking for, which can also change the cost of what your living situation would be. But on-campus dining is also a great way to kind of engage with your kind of fellow students. You kind of go to the cafeteria and meet up and enjoy the campus dining. Campus police, they do keep campuses safe. Most institutions across the United States have some aspect of campus security to ensure that students are kept safe. And tutoring services, ways to improve your academic experience. In terms of career resources as well, that's a great thing to consider too. Different career and internship fairs, and different ways to kind of improve your career opportunities and improve yourself in the aspect directly related to a career. So another campus resource I wanted to speak about, like I mentioned earlier, was International Student Support Services. That's something really to look at when you're considering a campus. Our International Student Support Services does put on a lot of cultural events, like I was mentioning earlier, as well as have a welcome week to help students feel acclimated to the campus, kind of combat culture shock a bit, because students from around the world are going to feel a bit of culture shock when they come to the United States, because it is an incredibly different experience from around the world. So that's something to look at too. So volunteer opportunities too. Here at UIW, at least, students are expected to conduct some volunteer hours to give back to the community. I think it's an aspect of our campus environment that we're incredibly proud of, is our connection to the community. You want to take advantage of the social connection that you've made with clubs and organizations, get in touch with the local community, volunteer through clubs and orgs, and make sure it's topical and relevant to what you're interested in. So finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about other aspects of culture to consider. Like I mentioned, academic culture. It's important to consider how the chosen institution treats the core of the purpose, which is, of course, academics. Is there value placed on faculty and visiting lectures? Do the faculty seem happy and willing to assist in any way possible? That's going to be true across most institutions that you hear of in the US, is the faculty are really kind of excited about you and to try to help you succeed. Like I mentioned earlier, institutions can be religious if you're looking for it, but it's really about what you want out of a college experience. And then what are the values of your institution? We've spoken about this a little bit, but just to reiterate the importance of seeing what you value, and see that reflected in the campus that you select. Sustainability, diversity, and academic excellence are just some examples of different values. Sustainability is an incredibly important aspect of different campuses and what you might be looking for. So that's something to really consider when you're looking at a campus, is do they share your same values, which can be a really important part of the campus environment. See here. So I just wanted to briefly talk that I'm a part of Study Texas. This is the institution that has kind of helped generate these kind of connections with Texas institutions. We are always happy to assist. We give both broad and specific information. Like I was trying to talk a little bit about my campus and general institutions. But the point is that if you ever need any assistance with U.S. institutions, obviously Education USA is an incredible resource, and we are also happy to assist with any questions related to our institutions or Texas in general. And then finally, these are just some contact information if you want to reach out to me personally, but also there's a lot of great ways to get information. Like there's so many other webinars you can take advantage of here with Education USA. So that's a kind of an overview of the vibrant campus environment. I know we have some questions that we want to get to. So with that being said, I'll toss it back over to Alina, and I want to thank you all for joining me in this presentation so far.
Thank you so much, Zion. A lot of details, actually, which I think are very helpful to the students that want to get a better perspective of how a campus would look like, or how they should expect, what they should expect, and a lot of activities, which is not something they would expect. I mean, they would research an university, but they would not go into a lot of details, and they would not know that they can get so much support. And there are so many advisors and counselors that can assist them on the campus. So that is very important that you show that in presentation. Thank you so much. And as we do every time, we have questions that students addressed in advance. So we will try answering them. And one of the first question is a normal question, and a question that we get usual: how can school student plan to study in USA with 100% funding? Maybe you can just relate to your institution, and you can mention some of the scholarships that you have available. I know there were some in the presentation, but maybe you can just tell us more details.
Yeah, of course. So I think that this is going to, of course, vary wildly based on the institution, because every institution will have different kind of ways to help students with their funding. It can vary. Like 100% funding is a bit difficult to do, but you can do it. Here at UIW, the main kind of scholarship that we offer is that merit scholarship I mentioned in the presentation. The benefit of that, for us at least, is that it's an automatic consideration. It's not extra. So when you apply, you are automatically considered for that. So for us, that can range based on your kind of academic experience. Some students are worried they might not have a 4.0 scale GPA, but often your college that you're applying to will convert from whatever your system might be to their own system, so they can kind of see what that would look like. For us, at least, that ranges from $7,000 per year up to $22,000 per year. And that's important to note that it is renewable for all 4 years of an undergraduate degree. The way to kind of increase funding beyond that would be for different aspects of private scholarships. So not only can you consider applying to your institution that you're looking for and seeing what scholarships they might offer to you, but there are also tons of different organizations you can apply for scholarships to help with the funding cost. Some students as well, there are some institutions that might be able to offer in-state tuition costs. So that's something also to be aware of, is that some schools, since we are a private institution, every student pays the same amount. But for public institutions in the US, students who are based in the state will pay a lower tuition cost than students based out of the state or international students. But there are certain scholarships that can kind of allow the international student to pay the in-state tuition cost, which is often much lower. So that's something to consider too, is what is the different tuitions and how can you bring that cost down? Like I mentioned, 100% funding is difficult to find, but often I think the way that you will do that is with combining different scholarships. Not often will you find one scholarship that'll pay for absolutely everything, but you can kind of pull from different scholarship amounts from different institutions as well as different private organizations. So that's kind of what I would say from our perspective, at least.
And I totally agree. I think that was one of the things that I would also suggest as an Education USA advisor. So these are the sources that we also recommend our students. But in case if you need additional assistance on researching specifically the financial aid part, you can trust your Education USA advisor. We have a locator on our website, so you can find your nearest Education USA center and your nearest Education USA advisor. Okay, the next question, and that's related to our webinar. What does youth mean?
Sure. So I think that this kind of connected to a bit of the on-campus housing that I was mentioning. So a suite can mean different things really based on what you're looking for. So some people might say you might be living in a 4-person suite. A suite is essentially kind of an apartment-style dormitory, which can kind of be which can vary wildly in size depending on what you're looking at. But often it just refers to the kind of shared space that you would have with a roommate and suite mates potentially. So some institutions, you might have your own private room, and there might be 4 or 5 of you who all have their own private room, but connect to a shared kind of living space, a shared kitchen space potentially. And so that'll be often referred to as like your suite mates. So they're not your roommate because you're not sharing a room with them, but you're sharing a suite, which is kind of the overall kind of apartment style living situation on a campus. It is important to note, I think, that the living situation also varies wildly based on the institution. And even within an institution, I know that we at UAW have 10 different dormitories, or no, 11 different dormitory buildings on campus, and they're all a different style. So it can really important to be like, if you want a private suite, like just you yourself, or do you want a shared environment? Having roommates is a very kind of US thing. It's often very common in the United States and not as common in a lot of other countries. I know that I studied abroad in the UK, and I had suite mates. So we all had our own private room and a shared space, but a roommate, I didn't have a roommate, just kind of had our own space. So that's something to consider too when you're looking at an institution.
Would that mean that they would have to pay extra if they want to be alone by themselves in the room?
It can depend, but often, yeah, if you want to kind of have your own space, it can be a little bit more expensive.
Okay, good to know. Then the next question, how do U.S. institutions support master students in finding research assistant positions or collaborating with faculty on projects? What are some tips for master students to navigate the transition from coursework to hands-on research projects?
Sure. So I think that the first part, I think, is a two-part question, really. So the first part of the question is like, how do kind of U.S. institutions support them in finding research positions? So often they'll often have a kind of a hub, like an online hub for research positions that are what's available, and you can kind of apply to those positions and kind of make those connections and see what options there are. Another thing really is kind of, it's going to really be, which makes sense, it's going to really be faculty based. What are the faculty looking for? What are they researching, and what kind of assistance do they need in that research? So it's really going to be kind of there are going to be those kind of hubs to see what's available, but I think it's important for students to kind of take initiative to and make those connections with faculty to see what options are out there. Because even if you have this kind of hub and you apply, many other people are also going to be looking for those same positions. So if you've kind of made a connection with the faculty member, if you have taken an interest in taking the courses that they're kind of teaching, and can demonstrate that you kind of have experience in that field, you might have a better chance of kind of getting that research position because you're already showing your experience and your ability to assist this faculty member in whatever that research might be. And then in terms of kind of the transition from coursework to research, I think that one tip to navigate is to consider the kind of how different those two things are, because they are both academically intense, but they do require different priorities, I think. So for coursework, it's going to be very, very varied, whereas research is going to be a lot of. But the thing about coursework is that you will have a faculty person checking in and ensuring that you're doing the coursework. You will be receiving grades and things like that, and so that can kind of be the motivator. But for research, I think it's important to realize that it's important to be self-motivated, to be able to push yourself further, because you will have obviously a faculty member kind of overseeing your research, but it will often be on you to ensure that what is required of you is getting done. And so that's something to be really considered about too, is that you can't kind of just assume that you'll be given specific directives all the time. You might be given a broad kind of goal and just try to get there yourself. And then also, this will depend very on the different kind of research, because there are kind of more scientific researches, which will be kind of can require long hours in a lab, kind of poring over petri dishes and things. But there also might be kind of historical or literature-based research, which will require kind of different resources and taking advantage of campus resources. So I think that's important. As with everything, time management is incredibly important, as well as taking advantage of campus resources. So that's kind of some advice I would say for that kind of transition. But really, relying on the faculty is going to be the number one thing. You're going to be your point for research. They're going to be your point for the positions themselves. So it's really kind of going to be making those connections and taking advantage of the faculty, because they want to see you succeed and they want to help you with this research.
I totally agree. And we normally recommend at the phase of researching still, I mean, the faculty in the university, we recommend normally students to outreach themselves, the faculty members, as you already mentioned. So I think that's one of the most important things, because they also make themselves noticed. So that's one of the best part, and they can be considered as prospective also students. Okay, good. The next question, what measures are being taken at universities in the US to promote respect and tolerance for different cultures?
Yeah, so I know that this is something that I was mentioning that kind of UAW especially, we really value diversity. We value students from around the world. And so one thing that I think that we do in order to promote kind of respect and tolerance for different cultures is first and foremost is the kind of representation of students on campus with those events that I was mentioning. Because I think that the most important thing is for students to kind of see their culture represented, to know that they feel accepted on campus, and we want students to feel that way when they step onto our campus. We do have kind of an emphasis on kind of diversity, which is very important for students to, like I said, feel accepted. And so I think that that's important too. Is we're kind of integrating into our jargon and integrating into our the ways that we speak about students. We want to make sure that they feel accepted. One thing that I can speak about with the UIW in general is that we really always go back to our mission. So when the Sisters of Charity of the Incarnate Word, those nuns who founded the institution, they set out a mission statement for the university, which really the core that we always center in on is global-minded citizens. And so we really want our domestic students to really kind of engage in the global kind of educational space. And so that to us means engaging with different cultures, engaging with different people from around the world. And so that's something core to our mission. So we kind of stress that, I think, whenever students arrive on campus, we talk to them about the core of the university, what our goals are. And I think that that's a great way for to kind of promote respect and tolerance, is to kind of see that as the core of the mission. So that's, I think, one way. Another way is like I mentioned, we do have the campus police around our campus and different campuses around, which they are an incredibly diverse police force with people from all different backgrounds, and they are explicitly told, of course, to protect students first and foremost. And then that can especially is true for students who might feel like they are being marginalized or being discriminated against, and that's just something we do not tolerate here at UAW and institutions in general as well. We want students to feel accepted. We want students to feel valued, because we do value students from around the world, and we want students to feel that way too. So that's kind of some measures. I think that there could be more as we're looking to the future. We want students to feel valued and respected going into the future. So we're going to look at even more ways, I think, to kind of make sure that that is kept true regardless of anything that might happen in the future.
Thank you, Zion. Then the next question, do you have campus for graduate students? How do you support them?
Sure. So again, this will vary depending on the institution. I think that this is something to keep note too, is the language in the U.S. So a college is an institution that gives secondary degrees, and a university is an institution that gives secondary degrees plus postgraduate degrees. And so that can be helpful to think about when you're looking at an institution. Are they a college or are they a university? So we do, UIW at least, we do offer graduate degrees. It is on the same campus as the kind of undergraduate degrees. So it's one kind of campus. We do have some different campuses scattered around the city of San Antonio for us specifically. So that's something to look at too, is does the institution offer graduate degrees? It's the first thing to consider. And then for the different campuses, we do have, for instance, it is unavailable to international students just because it's too new. We do have a medical school as part of UIW, so that is a graduate degree with a different campus, but we're working on that to kind of open that up. But so how do we support graduate students? I think that one great way for graduate students to kind of feel integrated and supported, as we were talking about even before, is the graduate assistantships, those research positions, ways to kind of work with the campus, work with faculty. But other ways for graduate students is very similar to undergraduate students, I think. So you can still take advantage, since you're on the same campus, you can take advantage of the international student support services, who want students to feel integrated, they want students to feel accepted, and they want students to feel kind of comfortable on campus. So you still will be included in kind of the welcome week, the welcome events, to get situated, to make those connections with other international students and domestic students. So we support, I think, our graduate students very similarly to how we support our undergraduate students, which I think is a good aspect. So graduate students don't feel disconnected from the campus environment, because that can sometimes happen, because often graduate students are really focused on their academics, which they should be, but it's still important to take advantage of the campus environment too. So I think that's something we do too, is to kind of have graduate students integrated into campus life as well. I think it's a great way we support our graduate students.
Good, thank you. And one of the last question, what jobs you have available on campus? And I think you already mentioned that for the undergrads.
Sure. There's a lot of different job opportunities on campus. So there are ways to work. Um, some of those, like I mentioned, those graduate assistantships or research assistants are considered jobs as well. Like you are working, but you also are, of course, improving your own education and research, things like that. But it still can be considered a job, and you would still be compensated for that. Like you wouldn't just be working for free. Um, but then there are kind of other jobs kind of on campus to kind of help with the cost of campus. That's another way that I should have mentioned earlier with the 100% funding is you can also incorporate an on-campus job potentially, because international students, you still can work in the United States on college campuses, but it's just limited the amount of hours that you can work essentially. But you can still find college, jobs in something like a lot of students will work kind of desk jobs, the kind of like the receptionist type jobs at like maybe the gym, the wellness center, checking students in. You might work at I know a lot of our international students work for the International Student Office, helping other international students when they arrive on campus to figure out where things are, to conduct those welcome events and tours of the city and of the campus. We do have campus tour guides, which is another position that a student can apply for to kind of guide potential students around campus. So there are kind of a lot of different jobs like that. I know we have one international student she's from South Africa. She's working in our career services department. So she helps students prepare resumes and conduct practice interviews. And so there's a kind of basically in almost every aspect of the kind of college environment, there are kind of opportunities for some students to kind of work. You can work in the library, you can work in the cafeteria, you could work in the student life or dormitory side of things. Another option which can help with students who want to kind of pay for their housing if they want to live on campus is an RA. So an RA is someone who kind of lives in a dorm, and their kind of job would be to kind of just make sure that everyone in the dorm is safe, is following rules, is following guidelines, check in with the different people living in that dorm building. And a great aspect of being an RA is that your housing is paid for because you are working, like you're living and working in kind of the housing. So obviously that housing would be paid for. You wouldn't be paying for it yourself. So that's another kind of job that might be important to consider. And some students really do take advantage of that to help with the cost, to cut down on the cost of living. And that is something too to consider is different institutions, you might be required to live on campus, or you might be able to live off campus and commute to campus. UIW, at least, we don't require students to live on campus. We do recommend for international students, especially the first year, to kind of live on campus so you can make those connections, take full advantage of the campus environment, and then maybe make some friends that you can maybe find an apartment or a nearby campus if you wanted to move off campus. So that's just a quick related thing, but those are a wide variety of jobs available on different campuses for sure.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for answering also this one. And thank you for the presentation and for all this useful information that I'm sure the students will use for their research process and also when browsing the institution that they want to apply. Then, for all those who have watched us today, we are very thankful. I'm very thankful to Zion that he presented to us today. And I hope this was a very interesting session and you enjoyed it as I did. And I would just like once again to mention that on this screen, you have the QR code for this nice program that we are currently having the application open, which is named GSAP. And as I've seen that we had a lot of questions from the students who want to apply for their graduate degree, and you had a lot of questions that were interesting and a lot of questions that were specific, going to be answered during this program. You can scan the QR code and go on there and start your application today. Please stay signed, please stay tuned to all other events that we have for the rest of this month. And in May, we are coming with another interesting schedule for a lot of webinars that I'm more than sure are going to be interesting and useful. Thank you, everyone, and I wish you a great evening.